right. Well, I would like to welcome everybody to the School Turnaround Podcast. My name is Dr. Chance Lewis. I'm so excited to have everyone here today. I'm excited for our guest today, Dr. Esrom Pitre, who will be joining us, a person that I've known for quite a bit of time in the field of education. So, Dr. Pitre, thank you for joining the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you as well. So you're one of the principals that I know that has done a lot of good school turnaround work in my home state of Louisiana. There, so what I would like to do to get us started, since we have a platform where a number of people join and check it out on a variety of platforms, if you can, just introduce yourself to our viewing audience and let them know about your journey to your current position. Let them know your position that you're doing and your actual school name and your official title as well.
Yes, again, thank you for having me. I started this career in education about 24 years ago. Started
Mm-hmm.
off as a head basketball coach and a social studies / special education teacher. And through this journey, I enjoyed working with the special education population and being a head coach. That was a passion of mine. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I bumped into Dr. Chance Lewis back then, and he encouraged me to get my doctorate at Colorado State. And
Mm-hmm.
while at Colorado State, I explored what I was passionate about, the overrepresentation of African American males in special education. During that time, I learned a lot about, the things that I had experienced, but I also wanted to learn more about, systematic things and ways to address and help students be able to achieve. And so through
Mm-hmm.
my research, I was able to have success with that. Went on out to Metropolitan State College, where I worked with urban schools and teachers who
Mm-hmm.
wanted to teach in urban schools. And so as I recruited teachers to teach in urban schools and work with the urban school population, that was very exciting to me. At
Mm-hmm.
Stayed at Metropolitan State for 2 years as a assistant professor of multicultural education, and again
Mm-hmm.
working as a coordinator for urban teachers. Moved to Louisiana as a professor in secondary education at LSU, Louisiana State University of Shreveport. Taught there, and that's where I kind of got my passion of educational leadership. I taught a few classes there, and it was always talks about um, turning practice, research into practice. And
Mm-hmm.
many students doubted that you could do that and make the connection. And they often talked about, well, Dr. Petrie, you hadn't been a principal, and what you're talking in references is mostly research. And so for
Right.
me, I had a golden opportunity to go to Donaldsonville, Louisiana, where the school was rated a 1 star or F school when I
Mm-hmm.
got there as an associate principal. Within a couple of months, we were able to grow about four points and get us to a D.
Mm-hmm.
In May, I took over as the principal, and so a D school transitioning of a lot of folks over the next 5 years. We would transition that school from a D school, which was like a 56 D at the time, to a 118 B. And
Mm-hmm.
we had a lot of success with doing that. And I thought I'd try my hand back in higher education at the University of Houston Clear Lake, where I worked with their doctoral program and established, the program, worked with doc students, and also taught many of the practices that I was able to implement at the school. Um,
Yeah.
2 years there, I returned home to Louisiana at Xavier University to help them get started with EDD program and educational leadership, where it was completely online and also giving the students the practice of turnaround. And
Mm-hmm.
I had some success with getting that off the ground. Moved on over to Southern University, where I was the coordinator of the educational leadership program, where we were able to successfully have about 85% of the students passed the exam to become a principal. And many of the students actually became principals right out of graduating, or right after graduating. From Southern University, I decided to try my hand at a charter school with Aplos Charter School in New Orleans, where we were able to kind of build the school from the ground up. So from the furniture and everything that went in the school to the
Mm-hmm.
people there. Um, then I was called by the superintendent of East Baton Rouge Parish to come in and turn around historically black school in McKinley Senior High School. McKinley
Mm-hmm.
Senior High School had dropped, about 30 points or so within 2 years. Um, and it gone from a B school to a D school. And
Mm-hmm.
the ACT scores were relatively low as well. And so we were
Mm-hmm.
able to come in that year and actually take the school from that C or D to a C right away. And we had some success in, our students performing well in the ACT and Work Keys area. We were also able to move the needle, becoming the largest game school for that particular year for all schools in the area. The
Mm-hmm.
following year, we had tripled our statistical data. And so we were looking at going from a C to a B. And in May, COVID hit. And so we didn't have the scores there. But the following
Sure.
2 years, we improved the school. The school actually grew, a few points, taking us to keeping us in the C range, but inching closer and closer to the B range. Um, I decided to try my hand in a setting that I had never been at in terms of my teaching. My dad worked at the school, my brother worked at the school, and I thought, hey, it had been a D school for quite a while in St. Landry
Mm-hmm.
Parish, North Central
Yeah.
High School. And so I moved on over to North Central High School, and I'm currently in the process of actually turning North Central around as well. So that's where
Right.
I am today. And
Right.
again, I'm excited to be on with you.
Great, great, Eddie. It goes without saying you have a plethora of experience in education, and I know your track record of how you successfully turned around schools, and that's why I'm so glad to have you here on the podcast. So, what we're gonna do, we have a large platform with a number of people that watch, whether they're school leaders or various education stakeholders who are coming to the podcast to get solutions, right? So, I want to tap into your years of experience with solutions. So, given the number of schools that you've turned around, we'll start our conversation around um, if you could just think across all the schools that you've worked at and turned around, what would be the main factor that you attribute your success to in turning around these different schools?
Well, one of the things that I would say is, we focused on clarity, making sure that everyone knew the goal coming in.
Hmm.
We tried to make sure that we were making data-driven decisions,
Okay.
um, shared ownership, where typically you see where the principal makes most of the decisions. For me, getting the faculty and involved and tapping into the innovation of the teachers, the creativity of the teacher, and
Hmm.
really developing teacher leaders within the campus to help you actually be able to make that change. And so as we engage the teachers and they became more and more creative, that kind of went further to or connected more so with the students. And the students became inspired because of some of the lessons that the teachers were doing to be a little bit more innovative and creative. Um, but the biggest thing too was being able to tap into the community.
Hmm.
I think we did the preachers versus teachers. We did a lot
Hmm.
of little things to connect the community, get the preachers involved, and we actually met parents. We went away from having all the meetings on campus, and we went to the community and we met the parents where they visit more frequently. And that, really was inspiring for, the whole city. We met with
Hmm.
the mayor and many other stakeholders to make connections and see how they can support us. And then we figured out how to leverage all our resources that we were getting from the school board, Title One, all those things to really, make school fun for the students as we transform the culture. We develop, leadership programs for students to be a part of helping bring about change. And those
Yeah.
things, I think, all worked in every school across the board. And that's why we were able to have some success.
Yeah, and that's great. And given that, I mean, because you shared a lot of wisdom there of how you made different community connections with parents and pastors and mayors and other key stakeholders. So I'm going to dive into those in a second to get deeper into that. But I do want to ask a question because this is a question that I normally get. Because if you think about school leaders that are aspiring and that may want to lead a school turnaround effort, a lot of times they may go into it. They know it's hard work. We all know it's hard work, but
Hmm.
what often doesn't get discussed is the challenges in the process, right? We hear about the end
Right.
result, right? But
Hmm.
what are some challenges that you faced that you were prepared for, and what are some things that kind of came up that were unexpected that you had to deal with when you kind of think back?
Well, when I think back, some of the things that I was prepared for was, coming in and knowing that I had to establish a culture.
Yeah.
Um, I had to get students excited about learning. I had to inspire the students. Coming in thinking and knowing that, hey, perhaps the teacher morale is low because the
Hmm.
school hadn't been doing well. Understanding that I had a fixed mindset, perhaps for some teachers, that I had to kind of coach up and
Hmm.
work with. And then another thing that I knew perhaps would take place is that we would perhaps have budget constraints. And
Yeah.
so those are the things that I kind of knew going in.
Hmm.
What I didn't anticipate was the number of uncertified teachers that you would get in a school, addressing the resistance from teachers and maybe other entities within the community, and
Right.
then many of the obstacles that we don't necessarily know that are coming our way, but we try to prepare for them. So, like for me, as I developed teacher leaders, the district kind of
Hmm.
tapped into them. So every year I was losing 3 or 4 teachers that were really, really good,
Right.
moving into
Right.
leadership positions, which I
Hmm.
enjoyed and really admired. But we had to keep the pipeline actually going and consistent. And so it made us work a little bit harder to identify those teacher leaders and really push even further. The biggest challenge of today is the uncertified teachers. How do you get folks who are just coming into education, how you get them up to speed? And so what I try to do is develop like teams, area administrative teams. So I break my administrators up into teams where they work directly with teachers, being able to give them hands-on experience and support. And so I come in and work with those leaders. And, from the area administrator, we have the department heads, but we kind of keep
Hmm.
drawing down and try to get more people into the leadership role and really tap into their skills. Because one thing that I find is that you have a lot of innovation that teachers bring to the table. That sometimes they figure that perhaps they have to follow this script to a T,
Hmm.
and the script doesn't connect to the students.
Right.
Um, so you have to kind of be innovative in bringing that to the kids. One of the things that inspired me more than anything was the kids didn't want to learn Macbeth, but the
Right.
teacher came up with a way to force them to learn it by having them recreate it. And so,
Right.
as students recreated Macbeth, well, they had to learn it to be able to put it in modern day
Right.
terminology. and those students recorded clips, and every one of the students who folks would consider bad kids, they would come and get me and ask me to come and watch their
Mm-hmm.
scene. And
Mm-hmm.
just that excitement that rubbed off on them with the excitement about teaching and learning, and being able
Right.
to capture that, I think really inspired us all. To show,
Yes.
hey, sometimes we write students off, but they all have that energy, and that desire is just to be able to tap into it.
So that more that kind of culturally relevant kind of teaching to engage the students as well. Yeah.
Yes, yes, that
Exactly.
culturally
Right.
responsive teaching is
Yeah.
definitely important, and definitely
Yeah.
plays a big role.
Exactly, exactly. So let me tap further into your expertise. Let's talk recommendations. So if you were talking to prospective school leaders who are going to lead this school turnaround work, right? What would be maybe your top two or top three pieces of advice that you would give a school leader that is stepping into a low performing school with the hopes of leading school turnaround efforts? What would be your recommendations for them?
Well, the first thing that I would say is you can't do it alone. And
Mm-hmm.
so, building those relationships with individuals on your staff is important. And then
Mm-hmm.
creating a collaborative culture where
Mm-hmm.
we all in this together, and we can make a difference. I think that's really, really important as we look into um, changing school. And I would say, hey, stay the course, because
Mm-hmm.
initially things may not go like you want it to go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you may have a plan on moving 3 or 4 points, and you may actually go backwards before you move forward. And so
Mm-hmm.
that is fine. Stay the course, and continue to inspire. And as you continue to inspire, you'll see that innovation come from that. You'll see that you'll gradually start to get more and more students, teachers engaged in that process. And as you continue to win folks over, um, that typically breeds success.
Great, great, and that's great. And and I'm glad you said that because these aspiring school leaders need to hear those kind of recommendations. So I want to go back to something you said earlier about how you engage with parents and community members, like the pastors and things like that. So let's dive into recommendations on that, because most school leaders, when they take on a school, right, they know how to function within the walls of the school, if that makes sense,
Right.
right? But when it
Hmm.
goes outside of the walls and making those connections, they struggle, right? So what
Right.
would be your recommendation, since you've done it well? What would be the recommendations for engaging a parent or engaging those community members, like you said, with the pastors and the mayors? What would be recommendations that you could give them to consider as they think about that?
Well, one of the things that we try to do is just look within the community, all the stakeholders that are able to successfully help us, move the school forward. And it really
Mm-hmm.
starts with the parents, being able to get
Mm-hmm.
the parents engaged and involved. And for us, it was a place where can we meet the parents. The parents didn't typically come to school for open house.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't typically come to a whole lot of meetings. It was most of the same parents over and over. And so we said, hey, look, where do parents go most often? And
Mm-hmm.
the places where we found parents visited most often was at church. And so
Yep.
we engaged the pastors and said, okay, let's meet with all the local pastors and figure out how do we connect and get parents to buy in. How do we help take our resources, pool our resources together, and have an opportunity for parents to be able to go to church, but also
Mm-hmm.
learn what's taking place at the school. And so
Mm-hmm.
we engaged the pastors. We came up with the idea of the preachers versus teachers basketball game, and we would have it twice a year. where the cheerleaders would cheer. We'd break the cheerleaders in half, half for the pastors, half for the teachers. And they would invite their congregation, and we would allow all the resources for any money collected to go back to the community. Any concessions that were made would go back to the community churches where they could then support us with getting computers and things that parents would need within the community at the church where they can tap in and see what's going on at the schoolhouse. And so that really helped build a relationship with the ministers in the community because every time we called, they came, and
Right.
every time, um, so vice versa, it worked both ways for us, and that was really important in the engagement process. I think we engaged the mayor and the mayor advisory board uh, to see, hey, overall, this is where the city is. This is where the mayor wants the city to be. What's our role as a school in helping him reach his goal for the city? But also, what do we need help with to help us reach our goal, and how do we partnership and work together so we both win at the end of the day? And so I think that was critical, and it kind of hit all stages with the political sectors. And then it also, working with the ministers who work day to day with families and supporting families who perhaps don't have anything to pay their light bill. These monies kind of work in pooling that together and being able to buy kids uniforms who didn't have uniforms. So it kind of worked all the way around. And when it came down to support, the things that we needed to support student learning, they didn't hesitate. So we said, hey, we need, a few iPads. Those ministers were right there. They came with the
Right.
iPad. The same for the mayor. He came with the iPad. Whatever we needed, they were able to kind of help supply outside of what the district provided. They were able to support.
Yeah, and that's a great partnership, and given that kind of connection, it builds their trust in the school, know that they're playing a significant part, of it as well. So I definitely commend you with that. Now, I had one last question before we close out our time today. One of the kind of, I call it the conundrum of the school leader, is you see the present, but you're also preparing for the future of the school as well, even if you're there or not in the future, because we know we all have a limited time at the school, but we kind of think about legacy that we want to leave in the school as well. So talk to us a little bit about your recommendations for a school leader of how they can ensure the long-term success of the school, even maybe beyond their time there. How do you
Mhm.
think about that in the notion of school turnaround and shaping a school for the future, knowing that you may not even be there to see all of it happen?
Right, and I think that is important as you work to transform schools. I was so honored to have, great assistant principals to help me turn
Mm-hmm.
around the school, great teacher
Mm-hmm.
leaders to help in that turnaround effort. And so for me, really paying attention to who would be that next person. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Here in Donaldsonville, we were able to, get that change. And I knew going out to the University of Houston that I had that next person already ready. He was primed up and he was ready to
Mm-hmm.
go. And
Mm-hmm.
all I wanted to do is reassure him, hey, you're ready to go. And you're going to do some
Mm-hmm.
great things here, even beyond what we were able to do. And,
Right.
just continue to inspire people and individuals. And the guy that I reference in many occasions is Mr. Marvin Evans. He's taken over Donaldsonville right after I left, and
Mm-hmm.
he's only added on to what we were already doing. Became
Mm-hmm.
State Teacher of the Year last year, and so I'm
Great.
immensely proud at how he continued to build on what we created and even take it even further with pushing students to graduate, pushing students to excel in at the university. So I think being able to see on your team, or perhaps people within the parish or outside of the parish who could be that next person to step into that leadership role and take the school to new heights. And, being able to coach them and help get them prepared. Because like you say, that you're not going to be at a place forever. But
Hmm.
the goal is, once you leave, to be able to have that school continue to have success. I think that's when you know that you've really accomplished a lot, because even, though you're not there, they are still able to have their success. And, that's what I try to do. That's my biggest recommendation, is find that individual or those individuals who would be potentially your next group of leaders, your assistant principals, your athletic director, your deans, and
Hmm.
tap into them and try to continue to grow them as much as possible. Get them involved in things that perhaps they're not comfortable with.
Right.
And so we stretching leadership across the board, and we
Hmm.
pushing individuals to have success and try things that they haven't
Hmm.
tried before. And so when they get into that leadership role, some of the things they've already learned, but they're not afraid of the challenges that are going to come along with it.
Hmm. Hmm. So in my final thought for you, because I'm very proud of the work that you're doing and have done, and the track record that you have established as well. When you look out over the current state of education as you currently see it, what do you see as the future of school turnaround efforts as well?
Well, I see even in even when I started this effort, it's always been a challenge to get certified teachers in. Um, but over the last 2 years, or since COVID, there's been extremely challenging to get certified teachers or any teachers into the building. With the universities not producing educators like they once did, that is the basis for schools. I think if we are going to build those leaders, a few things have to happen. The universities have to get back to establishing themselves as primary supporters of education and producers of educators. Um, Being able to produce educators in rural communities, urban communities, goes a long ways with helping principals be able to transform schools. I think that is probably, one of the most important things right now that I think needs to take place. So, like, I can identify some, paraeducators or perhaps educators with um, degrees that could potentially be good teachers, but we don't have a robust system at the university systems yet, or at least in
Right.
certain areas that can kind of take that latch on and help schools be the best that they can be and provide for students. So I think, at the end of the day, if universities can kind of get back on their feet with education and start to recruit and help districts and schools, find teachers, educate
Hmm.
teachers, train teachers. I think that partnership is a partnership that's extremely important right now, and I think that could leverage a lot of things for the turnaround principle.
Great, great. Well, I appreciate that, and I know your schedule is busy, so I want to really thank you for taking time to hang out with us on the School Turnaround podcast today. I'm really proud of you. I want you to keep up the efforts that you're doing as well. And when you look at the track record that you have left. That's something that you could be very proud of with the number of situations that you've gone into and successfully navigated school turnaround. Because in my work around the country, I haven't seen many that can go into multiple situations and make success as well. So I'm very proud of you for that as well. So thank you again for joining. I really appreciate your time today as well.
Yes, well, I have to thank you a whole lot for, encouraging and inspiring me to be able to do that
Yes.
work.
Yeah.
Important question you asked on day one, once I got into the program: what are you going to do with that doctorate degree? How are you
There you
going to
go.
help schools? And this is my way of giving back. And again, I can't thank you enough for the encouragement, the mentorship that you've
Hmm.
provided, even the
Hmm.
support you provided, and come and talk to those first faculty members,
That's right.
and helping us with the culturally responsive teaching that we needed. So again, thank you so much for all the work that you are doing around the country, all the work that you're doing in supporting schools become better, and also building educators to be able to lead on the higher education, and
Hmm.
K-12 is phenomenal. So thanks again, and keep doing the great job and great work that you're doing.
Well, thank you. We're all in it together. So each of us does our part to try to make a difference as well. So keep representing my home state well. Keep representing Southern University well, and I'll be in touch with you soon. Okay.
All right. Thank you, and you have
All
a good
right.
one.
All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.